Hey YouTube, this is Nick with EDC Mag, and today we're here to talk about DSK Tactical. Now, I was originally going to do the intro with the VDK Strix, but man, this is such a cool knife. What I'm going to do is hold off on this thing. Obviously, I'm going to clean it up a little bit before I put it on video, and it's cool enough that it needs its own video. So I don't really have any groundbreaking EDC gear to show you guys, so mainly we're just going to talk about this Diamondback, but I thought I'd show you this real quick, just because I find it hilarious. My buddy Derek Carlson over at DNA Lasering sent me this. Oh, that's right, I ran out of fuel lighting cigars last weekend. So anyway, he sent me this, and I love this thing, man. It's just a zippo with custom lasering on it. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you ever need something laser etched, get a hold of Derek. It's dnalasering.com. He's doing some amazing stuff. I'm working on something right now for a knife that I'm going to have him do. He's done one for me in the past. Not to mention just a ton of other things, including, just about anything you can think of. Knives, gear, pews, anything. Super cool. So, Zippo. And then I thought, this is something that people ask about. These were made in 2012, I think. And this is by CRKT. This was designed by Flavio Icoma. And every time I post this, people are like, what in the hell is that and how's it work? Interestingly enough, first time I saw these was probably 2017. And man, I just thought they were super cool and couldn't find one anywhere. They weren't expensive, but they're neat. They're just really neat, and the design is quite brilliant on them. Flavio Icoma designed these for CRKT. They're just small little keychain knife. They're called the Kidashi. So it's a Kidashi keychain knife. They're considered a Skinner, but just really neat in the design and how they work. They're not, they were like, I don't know, $20, $30, $35, something like that. I think they're on sale for like $18.95 or something at one point. Again, this was 2012, but trying to find one now is freaking impossible. Somehow in my travels, a really good friend of mine, he had one, and he gifted it to me, and another guy saw this one, and he had one laying around and gifted it to me as well. So forever grateful for that. They're just a neat little knife, just something really unique in the design. And how they work is, well, let's see, these are 1.4116 stainless, these blades. Just a cool little dude. And how they work is there's no moving parts on them. It's a fixed blade. So this is your sheath, so to speak, and it hangs out over the edge of the blade. And then to remove it, you just press up here, and this little bearing moves, slides off of this, and there you go. Kind of neat little doodad. They call it a Skinner. Jimping here where your thumb would go. I don't know, they're just kind of a cool little dude, and they go back together same way they come apart. Ooh. I'm not going to put this back together right now, but it's pretty basic. There you go. So there you go, Kidashi. If you ever seen those in any of my photos, excuse me, or wondered what they are, this is what they are. I added the skull on the lanyard. They come with a little lanyard. I added a skull to both of them, but just kind of neat. And then one more thing, I want to give you guys an update. About 9 months ago, I told you guys about Geared Hardware. a new watch I got, and I have a couple more since then. But I've been beating the hell out of this thing for 9 months since I, walked away from these dudes, which G-Shocks are awesome, don't get me wrong. I just wanted to update and do something a little different than G-Shock. It's kind of like something everyone has. I loved mine. It did everything I ever asked it to and kept on going. I just wanted something different. These geared hardware watches, man, they're tough. They claim them to be tough, and they are tough. I beat the hell out of this thing, and it still looks brand new. I'm constantly beating against walls and doors and just about anything you can think of. And, I still react. Not as bad as I used to. But, it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction when you smack your watch on something. You're like, oh, crap. Did I just scratch the crap out of the crystal? Nope. Yeah, that's right. It's geared hardware. It'll take it. You will never see it. It's just still looks as good as the day that I got it. So, very pleased still with these watches. So if you get a chance, check out gearedhardware.com. The dude is super cool that owns it. He's out of Florida. And just cool watches. If you want a little more in-depth review, search my videos. I think I did one 9 months ago, and then another update a few months ago where I showed a couple other models. And yeah, very cool, man. All right, let's talk about this gorgeous piece of machinery right here. Now this is the DSK Tactical Diamondback V2 with a World War II theme. Dan Sullivan is DSK. He is born and raised in Arizona, still works out of Arizona. And, DSK probably, when DSK first came into my preview, was with, I think, what they were really famous for at the time, and still probably are a little bit, or maybe a lot, was the kickstand. And he makes a lot of really big, beefy knives. And kind of his, goal behind his knives, the purpose is for them to be functional, tactical, and distinctive. And I think this thing, it definitely covers all three of those. Let's get into some specs on this. This is CPM 154 steel. It's 3.625 inch blade. Obviously, I guess you'd call it a spear point. Titanium. It is a frame lock. And it does run on bearings. Now this knife, excuse me, unlike a lot of his knives, this knife is very tactical and very stout, but not quite as big. So you still get the brute strength and the thickness. This blade is super thick. I mean, not ungodly thick, but this thing's not going to snap off. You're not going to break this. I wouldn't recommend batoning with it, but if you did, I bet you damn well it'd take it. Just a gorgeous knife. The blade, apparently it's been tumbled over the graphic, so it kind of all blends in really well, and I just love this Flying Tiger. I mean, that's so unique, and I love the fact that he did it on both sides. Absolutely cool. So this knife is beefy, very beefy, but the action on it is just amazing. He started putting bearings on the version 2, and man, this is Wii action. I mean, it's just gorgeous. You can spider flick it if you want. It takes nothing, and I suck at spider flicking. I'm not a Spider Co guy, but if I can do it, anybody can do it. Has a couple of simulated bullet holes on it. Just extremely cool. As far as in hand, it feels amazing. It definitely fills your hand without being obnoxious or too large. there's just the function on this knife for, you know, the brutality that it could possess. I mean, he makes these knives to be used and abused, and this knife would definitely take it without, you know, taking up all the space in your pocket. I mean, let's see, use our trusty Kershaw here. So you can tell it's a little bit taller than the Kershaw, and obviously this is 3.25, this is 3.6. What did I say? 3.625, yeah. And so it's a little bit bigger, so kind of, you know, 3.5 would be halfway in between there, but definitely a beefy knife. Here we'll use the Strix since I have it out. Strix is a 4.1 inch blade, and I really should have cleaned that, but still looks bigger for some reason. We're gonna have to examine that. Put my foot in my mouth. I think it is a little bit bigger, but anyway, it's you know, I would call this an ED size, full size EDC blade. The jimping on it is done extremely well. Back here it's a little bit deeper. You know, it's not a thumb stud, but you know, I'm used to thumb studs. I like thumb studs a lot better than I do the thumb hole, but man, it's so easy to open that you can actually use, this is actually a bump stop, but it'll still flip with that, so I guess you could say that doubles as a thumb stud, even though I don't think that was the original intent of it. The jimping down here is still strong, but not quite as deep as it is up here. But you know, I think, you know, just my opinion, but if you were out in the shit using this with gloves on, you wouldn't have any problem, you know, with the functionality of this. I mean, you could have some bulky gloves on and still get your thumb in there. And then, you know, even above that, let's see if I can do this between. I mean, the detent on it is amazing. The seating is solid. You can one hand open it with a little effort. I practiced that a few times before I tried it on camera, but it can be done. So you can do it one-handed. It does have a couple of barrels in the back, so you lanyard guys have a place to tie something on. Obviously, this one came with Damascus little lanyard bead on it. It came that way. It's tied on there. I didn't want to cut it off, so it'll go with the knife when it goes. There's a little milling on this clip. The clip functions absolutely perfectly. There's just nothing really. There's just no downside to this knife, especially if you were looking for something beefy that you want an EDC but isn't obnoxiously huge. I mean, this is kind of a, I would say, more of a traditional knife shape. It's not shocking. I mean, really, honestly, if it wasn't the World War II theme, I think you could pull this out at a Home Depot and, you know, cut some drywall apart, and I don't know that anyone would even notice that you had a, you know, they just see it as a pocket knife. I mean, it blends into urban surroundings fairly well as a base model. Not so much with the Tiger stuff, but you know, it's man, it's just all around function and form and beef all together, and there's nothing to not like about this. The action, the fit, the finish, you know, there's no rough edges on this, on the jimping, anything like that. There's not an overabundance of jimping on it. It's just a phenomenally well designed but also executed knife. It's impressive in every way. Now, personally, for me, it's still a little bit smaller than what I like to carry, because I like big, obnoxious shit. Reminds me of myself. But you know, it's an amazing knife. I mean, it's just it's not sleek, but it's just the function is every bit as good as a, you know, something made by Riot off a line, but these are all handmade, you know, by Dan. I mean, if you've ever seen pictures of Dan, he's a big old dude, and I mean, he was a Marine, still is a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine, right? But if you ever saw him walking down the street, you would go, okay, that dude's a Marine. But super nice guy from what I've heard. I haven't actually talked to him myself personally yet. But when you get one of these, man, they function so well. Unless you want him to, you get a base model and you want him to add something like this, you know, I have no doubt that he backs up everything he makes, because people absolutely love that kickstand, and it's a beast. It's a brutal beast of a knife. But I think these things are just super cool. The execution is just straight out phenomenal. So let's see what this thing weighs real quick. About 7.5 ounces. So, okay, I mean, actually thought it would weigh a little bit more than that, but for a 3.6 inch beefy knife, that's about right. That's about where I would think it should be. So, just an amazingly well done blade. Very impressive. And if you needed to, I mean, obviously it's got the pivot and the 2 barrels. I mean, there's not a whole lot as far as breaking this knife down. If you needed to, you know, break it down and swap bearings or clean it out, you know, get the mud out, this knife, you know, would break down very easily. You could do this in the field without a problem. I mean, obviously bringing the right tools in, knowing, you know, what your knife needs, and man, this thing had come apart quick. So there you go, guys. DSK Tactical, Dan Sullivan. Awesome knife, awesome builder, awesome design. It's for the gentleman's, this would be a gentleman's brute, I guess. It's thick. It's a little heavy, but not over the top heavy. But it's beef, man. It's beefy. It's a beefy knife. I would not call this thing a tank so much, even though it kind of actually physically looks like one. It's just too well executed. I mean, it's very well mannered for what it is. And, you know, it's hard to... I hesitate to call a lot of knives tanks, and I wouldn't call this a tank. I would call it maybe a gentleman's fighter. But it is a gorgeous knife, no question about it. And I'm excited. One of these days, I'm sure I'll have a chance to get one of his kickstands. And he's got some other, quite a few other designs now since this first came out. And he's got some really cool stuff out there. So definitely check him out, Dan Sullivan, DSK Tactical. All right, I'm gonna try something really quick. I'm gonna do a famous, somewhat famous quote, and I'll let you guys take it from there, see what you think. But here we go. There has never been a sadness that can't be cured by breakfast food. All right, somebody told me I sound like somebody, so you guys tell me who that is. Okay, guys, well, listen. DSK Tactical, CRKT Kidashi, DNA Lasering, Derek Carlson, DNAlasering.com, and GearedHardware.com. Well, I know it's been a while since I've done a review, so I appreciate you guys being patient, but I will try to, I've said this before, the last few months have been kind of brutal for everyone, but I will do my best to try to get these done more often, because man, I've got some cool knives, some really super cool customs that I've been after for a while. Prototypes, just some really neat stuff that I really want to show you guys. Next up is going to be the Strix. So very impressive knife. Can't wait to show you guys this, and I will try to do that sooner rather than later. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Remember guys, knife is life, so get a slice.